Hi, we're going to talk about linear perspective or all the different kinds of perspective that are used to create optical illusions when we draw. Some of those optical illusions are realistic and some are mind bender kind of optical illusions, but they're usually all using some type of perspective, linear perspective, 1 point, 2 point, and 3 point. And just so you know, linear perspective was actually invented back around the 1500s, 1500s. And so it's been around for a long time and it's influenced art for a long time. And before it was invented, lots of artwork was very flat and it looked like it was pretty much two-dimensional. And once they discovered this and started using the principles of perspective, they were able to draw more realistically. Sometimes perspective is used to distort or try to fool the mind, and so we'll see some of those too. So one of the first things we're going to do is we're going to talk about the different types of vocabulary we need so that when I talk about it, you understand it. And so one of the first things you need to know is a horizon line is something that we use during drawing, and a horizon is actually where the earth and sky meet. So here are the differences. The horizon line, I have a little person here showing that a horizon line is also your eye level line. And so when you look at something where your eyes line up with the horizon here, that would be also your eye level line, but that is the horizon line when we draw. And right here, your eye level line lines up with right about here in the drawing. It's not the same in this one as the horizon, which is where the earth and the sky meet. It's an imaginary line that kind of runs right through here. On this one, I've got my little person riding on a drone because you're probably on a drone looking over the city of Wichita. And your horizon line is probably right about here, which is where you appear to be riding on the drone. And so you kind of have to figure out where you see the horizon line when you start to draw something and where it makes sense. Now, the difference for the horizon is like in this mountain scene right here. The horizon is where the earth and the sky meet. So it's this jagged line that represents the edge of this mountains where the earth and sky meet. But our eye level will probably be right about here. So if we were to draw a house right here, we would make sure that we take that into account when we draw. If we're looking at this, the city of Kansas City, some street downtown, we see the eye level is right here at the back where the street ends is the eye level. But the horizon is where the buildings and the sky come together. So that's the difference between horizon and horizon line. Now we're going to look at the different kinds of perspective. One is the most basic is the 1 point perspective, which uses one vanishing point. And a vanishing point is a place that looks like all your lines disappear. And that's why it's called a vanishing point. So in this one, if we follow the line of this building right here, the vanishing point is probably somewhere in the middle of this building. And it's an imaginary dot where all of the lines for the objects converge or come together. And so we're going to use the word vanishing point when we go to draw in perspective so that you can understand where that fits into the whole scheme of things. Over here, our horizon line is out here. Our vanishing point, if we follow the street, it's out here somewhere. And because these buildings are along the street, that's why we use that vanishing point. And this is the side of the building. If you'll notice the top and bottom, if we drew them, they would probably go to exactly that spot. The way you find a vanishing point is you put a ruler along the edges of the buildings, and it kind of takes you to the point where all the lines converge, which would be the vanishing point. This may not make a whole lot of sense yet, But when we start drawing, you're going to go, oh, that's what she meant when she said that. So 2-point perspective uses 2 vanishing points. And if we look at the side of this building, one of the vanishing points is over here, probably off the screen, and the other one goes over here somewhere, maybe off the screen. But the distinguishing characteristic for 2-point perspective is that you see the corner of the building closest to you. In 1-point perspective, we saw the front of the building or a side of the building that is the most prominent feature in what we're looking at. When you look at 2-point perspective, it's the corner of the building that is the most prominent feature. So like right here, the State House, this is the corner of the building, and the corner of the building, we don't see the side facing us, we see a corner. And that's how you tell the difference between 1 and 2-point perspective. 3-point perspective is a vanishing point on the 2 sides, and then a vanishing point all the way at the bottom or all the way at the top. And it's kind of the Spider-Man view is the easiest way to remember a 3-point perspective drawing or photograph, is that it shows you a distorted look up or down of an object. And so this one is like if you were in a helicopter looking down on a city, you can see where these lines all seem to kind of look like they're going to come into one spot, kind of right here in the middle. And then we have the tops of the buildings that go here, and they go, if we draw lines that way, it'll go there. So this has got some 2-point perspective, and then it's got a third vanishing point right about here. Same for this if we were to follow all of them. Here's another one looking up, and it's also 3-point perspective because we have a vanishing point here and a vanishing point somewhere over here, which all of our edges go to. And this vanishing point is the same as that vanishing point. But then we have a third vanishing point right up here in the middle where all of these buildings will converge in one spot. And so when you go to draw it, that's why you use the vanishing points, is it makes your drawing consistent and it helps that 3-dimensional look really come together. So let's look at the city of Wichita. Here's a really good picture. Here's our horizon and our horizon line. Our horizon would go around the buildings. Our horizon line would go through them. And the horizon line is used to draw, and the horizon is used to describe some features in some type of a picture. Let's look at one of my favorite artists is M.C. Escher. These aren't really good pictures, but they give you the idea. He understood perspective so well that he could distort it and put things in that look like they could actually happen, but they never could. If you look here, the water is always flat, but yet it flows uphill for 3 stories to make this water fall. So if you look at the pillars that are here, he's strategically placed them and made them not make sense if you look really close at them, like this one is on the outside over here and on the inside over here. So visually, when you first look at it, it looks like it would work, but it doesn't. And he was so good at really distorting things and making us think they could happen. This is another one. These people are all walking up the stairs, and that's not possible. There's going to be some people that would walk down them, but he's got it so that it looks like they all walk upstairs. And here's another one of his. And if you look at this, which one do you think, what kind of perspective is this? We see a box. And we don't see a corner, we see a box. So this would be 1-point perspective. This one, we see a corner, so that would be 2-point perspectives. And if we follow this back, we'll find one vanishing point here. If we follow this one back, we find the other vanishing point here. With this, the vanishing point is probably right here in the middle because you follow it out, it makes these edges that come down to each side of this drawing. So as we learn more about perspective, it's important to remember that if you understand it, your drawings will be so much more realistic. Let me see if I've got anything else to show you. This particular painting right here, even though it's got buildings in it and stuff, you can't really see any perspective used. And it looks like you might be able to, but it's all the same kind of color and modeling of the color here. And so there is no perspective used here. This one is another one of those impossible buildings. If you look at the pillars, this is done by M.C. Escher again. And this is called the impossible cube, and maybe you've seen it before. If you look at it one way, it looks possible, and then when you see this part go across this one, you know it's not. There's no way you could make that in real life. So perspective is really awesome, and once you understand it, you can draw just about anything and make it look realistic. So we're going to delve into perspective today. Go on to the 1-point perspective video.